As the year 2024 drew to a close, people were getting ready to celebrate and reflect. For the 181 people on Jeju Air Flight 2216, it was a trip home to be with loved ones after time away. The plane, a Boeing 737-800, was a common sight in the sky, scheduled for a regular flight. It took off from the busy city of Bangkok, Thailand, heading for Muan International Airport in South Korea. On board were 175 passengers from different countries, all excited to reach their destination. 6 crew members dedicated to their jobs were ready for the long journey. However, this ordinary flight would soon turn into a terrible event, shocking the nation and the world of aviation. The first sign of trouble appeared as Flight 2216 neared Muan International Airport. The weather, known to change quickly in this region, had worsened. Thick fog, dangerous for even the most skilled pilot, covered the airport. Landing was becoming risky as the bad weather made it almost impossible to land safely. Putting safety first, the crew made the tough but important choice to abandon the landing. The passengers, some likely worried by the sudden change, held on to the hope of a quick solution. As Flight 2216 got ready for its second landing attempt, tension grew both in the cockpit and among the passengers. The weather was still a worry, but the crew, relying on their training and skills, were determined to land the plane safely. Suddenly a new danger arose. Ground control, their voices urgent and tense, issued a frightening warning: a bird strike. The crew confirmed, their biggest fear coming true. This was no longer a normal landing, they were now dealing with multiple emergencies. Despite the growing dangers, the crew chose to continue with the landing, hoping to overcome the increasing difficulties. Disaster hit incredibly fast. As Flight 2216 descended for its final approach, a vital system malfunctioned. The nose landing gear, meant to soften the impact of touchdown, would not come down. The plane, now at the mercy of chance, slammed into the runway with a terrible force. The impact shook the cabin violently, tossing passengers around as if they were weightless. The plane, out of control, skidded off the runway, hurtling towards a concrete barrier at the runway's edge. The crash was devastating. The impact caused a massive fire, quickly engulfing the plane in flames and smoke. The once perfect Boeing 737-800 was now a twisted wreck, a reminder of the unforgiving nature of plane crashes. Emergency crews, their faces showing urgency and sadness, rushed to the crash site, fighting the fire and thick smoke to find survivors. What they found was a scene of unimaginable horror. The crash of Jeju Air Flight 2216 took the lives of 179 people, a heartbreaking loss of life that shocked South Korea and the world. 2 passengers, their bodies injured, miraculously survived, pulled from the wreckage by heroic first responders. Their survival, a small glimmer of hope amidst the devastation, offered little comfort to the families and friends of those who died in the tragedy. The nation mourned in the wake of the tragedy. Flags were lowered to half-mast, a sign of shared grief and respect for those lost in the crash. The South Korean government started a full investigation. Experts from South Korea, Boeing, and the US arrived at the crash site. Their goal to reconstruct the events and determine the factors of the crash. The investigation quickly focused on several key areas. Evidence suggested a possible bird strike near the engine. The landing gear failure became a subject of intense scrutiny. Investigators examined maintenance records for signs of problems. The runway itself was also investigated. Critics pointed to the concrete barrier as a factor that worsened the crash. The crash of Jeju Air Flight 2216 is a stark reminder of aviation's unforgiving nature. It demands answers, accountability, and change.